Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So now we are entering into a new chapter. This is the 10th chapter of the third canto, where Vidura was asking that how the grandfather Brahma, he has created different bodies of different living entities and things like that, and how actually the creation came about. How did Lord Brahma do this thing? So this is the question that has been asked, and then Sutta Goswami is going to answer that. Let's see that. Text 3. Suta uvacha evam sanchoditastena shatra kaushara virmunihi pi- pitah pratayah tan prashnan hridistan ata bhargava. Okay. Suta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was everything was in his heart, and thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. Okay. Purport. The phrase Suta Uvacha, Suta Goswami said, appears to indicate a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. While Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was only one member of a large audience. But Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the sage Shaunaka, a descendant of Sukadeva Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. So the main thing was the Sutta Goswami is talking to the sages of Naimisharanya. That is the current discussion. That is the main discussion that is there. And in that, Sutta Goswami is citing his hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, and what did Sukadeva Goswami speak and things like that. So there is Bhagavatam is a nesting of conversations. A lot of nesting of conversation is there, and here in this particular instance, what is happening is that Sutta Goswami is going to speak, and from his understanding and things like that. So a disciple generally he repeats whatever he has heard from the spiritual master, and also he may speak something in line of the same conclusions of his spiritual master. So now Sutta Goswami is going to speak something which he has not heard from Shukadeva Goswami at that point in time. But then he is going to speak something in the same lines, which is also non-different from what he has heard, right? So it should be taken in that sense. So text 4, Maitreya Uvacha Virinchopi Tata Chakre Divyam Varsha Satam Tapah Atmanam Aveshya Yataha Bhagavanajah. The greatly learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penances for 100 celestial years, as advised by personality of Godhead, and applied himself in devotional service to the Lord. So now, how did the creation happen? So the answer starts saying that no, he performed tapasya penance. So first of all, Brahma, just to know his own position, he did tapasya. And then after knowing his position, then he has got some task to do. So then how did he go about doing the task? Again, he did tapasya. So this is a principle that it is like for studying, what did we do? Like we earned some money, and then we paid some fees, and then we studied. Then after that, for further earning the money, like again we go back and earn, work. So work is the principle. Like if you want anything, if you want to buy a house, you have to earn. If you want to buy a car, you have to earn. So in the same way, like in the Vedic principle, whatever you want to do, you have to perform penances and tapasya to please the Supreme Lord. So that is the principle it was there. So now whatever we want, now we immediately go and get a job or some kind of a way to earn money. And in the Vedic system, whatever they want, immediately they would engage in penances and try to please the Supreme Lord. And if they please the Supreme Lord, they'll be able to do whatever they want to do. So that is the way it is. So in Vedic system, we will know again and again and again, we will see this thing that they will constantly get onto this path. Anything they want, first thing is penance, tapasya, and an act that is meant to please the Supreme Lord. Okay, purport that Lord Brahma engaged himself for the personality of Godhead Narayana means that he engaged himself in the service of the Lord. That is the highest penance one can perform for any number of years. There is no retirement from such service, which is eternal and ever encouraging. So, devotional service, there is no chutti, there is no holiday in devotional service. Always we must perform devotional service. Text 5, Tad Vilokyabja Sambhuto Vayuna Yad Adishtitah Padmam Ambascha Tatkala Krita Viryena Kampitam. Thereafter, Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. Purport. The material world is called illusory because it is a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, one engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by awkward circumstances. There is a declaration of war between two parties, the illusory energy and the devotee. And sometimes the weak devotees fall victim to the onslaughts of the powerful illusory energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy, although it gave him cause for anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his position. So all of us face this kind of situation. No challenges. Material life means no, there will be some challenges, and generally, we see that devotees, no, why are you not chanting or why are you not practicing? So then they'll say, oh, so much of material problems, so much of problems are there in my life. So there are two different ways to react to the problems of life. So one is like Prahlad, more problems come, more intense remembrance of the Lord, more intense devotional service. And when problems come, we'll reduce the intensity or we will leave devotional service. So here we see that Brahma is on the other side. When the problems come, he is going to make his devotional service more intense and no more strong he is going to become. Okay, so then text 6. Tapasahi yadamanena vidyaya chatma samstaya vibhrada vijnana balo nyabhad vayum sahambasa. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. Purport. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of material energy, such as we are able to actually manipulate a lot of material energy, and then use it as electricity, use it as so many different things like we are able to do. Okay. So, but here it's mentioned, such control of material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. So even without loving transcendental service, people seem to control the material energy, but they will be able to control only for some time. When the material energy shows its real face, for example, like corona kind of a situation, or like severe climatic changes and andi tufan and things like that and all. So it becomes difficult for people to handle. So sometimes the material nature appears to be easy to handle and they manipulate. And sometimes the material nature may show a very, very harsh face towards the living entities. So, but if a person is surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, so then it is very easy for him to overcome. Now, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Evaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So he says that this is my divine energy and Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is very difficult to overcome, but if one surrenders unto him, he can overcome. And Srila Prabhupada in one of the lecture, he mentions in Calcutta, there was an artificial famine created by the Britishers or something like that at that point in time. So then, like people were so much in so much of crisis. No, they were not having sufficient money, to buy things, and it's an artificial famine was created. And Prabhupada was mentioning that he was visiting many of his god brothers, many other devotees, and somehow mystically, by the grace of the Lord, none of them had suffered. No, because they know that like eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. So Krishna is the only maintainer and supplier, and Krishna was protecting them and taking care of them all the time. Right. So that is the way of this one. That is the way of Krishna's protection, Krishna's maintenance. So in this way, like we see that people who are surrendered to the Supreme Lord and people who are carrying out the order of the Supreme Lord in loving transcendental service, so they will always be protected. Text 7. Tad vilokya vyapi pushkaram yad adishtitam anena lokan praglinan kalpitasmiti achintayat. Thereafter he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Purport. So actually the planets in the beginning of the creation, they are unmanifest and they are like created. So then after that, during the pralaya, again all this planetary system and everything actually enters into the navel of the Garbhadaksha Vishnu, or the navel is the root of the lotus on which Lord Brahma is sitting. So practically all the ingredients is there and everything is merged into it. And now again it has to be brought again, back into action. So that is something Lord Brahma is to do. So literally, like Lord Brahma has to keep doing the same thing every single day. Every day, like everything will be destroyed when Brahma goes to sleep, and then the next day again he has to start whole thing. So the daily work is like create all the planets, and then at the end of night of Brahma, everything will be destroyed. So and Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharet Brahmano Vidu. Right. So like Brahma lives for such a long span of time. In his one day, 1,000 times of Satya Treta Dwapara Kali happens, and then like many partial annihilations and they happen, and then finally at the end of Brahma's day, a major annihilation. All the planetary systems that he has created will all be destroyed. So Brahma's sleep is so powerful, like Brahma cannot afford to doze off, like how sometimes if we are very tired, we may doze off. So if Brahma dozes off, then the whole planetary systems, all 14 planets, 14, like his planetary system, maybe like it is not affected. But all the planetary system that he has created, so other 13, they will all be finished. So Brahma cannot afford to sleep, he is constantly in meditation on the Lord. He cannot afford to sleep. Okay. Purport. The seed of all the planets in the universe were impregnated in the lotus on which Brahma was situated. All the planets were already generated by the Lord and all the living entities were also born in Brahma. So it's like, he has got the stock of all the living entities and stock of all the material elements. And the Lord has to first create it, and then we will be able to, we will engage in a little bit of physical labor, and it'll appear that we have created, but actually Lord has created. So just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, I've already killed all these people. You just have to do the external thing, right? So, but people are still living and they're fighting and things like that. But Krishna is telling, I've already killed all of them. So, in the same way, here also we see that Krishna has already created all the planets, and he has already submitted all the living entities to Lord Brahma. He just have to do the final job, of that what is it, getting it into existence. So, that credit just the Lord gives it to his devotees. Okay, everybody will say, okay, Brahma has created. Okay, Brahma has created. So, but actually, the Lord has created everything. The subtle form of all the things have been created by the Lord. Only the external touch is given by us. Okay, the material world and the living entities were all already generated in seedling forms by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Brahma was to disseminate the same seedlings all over the universe. The real creation is therefore called Sarga, and later on, the manifestation by Brahma is called Visarga. So this we studied in the second canto somewhere. Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshana Mutaya Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashraya. So it's like Sarga and Visarga. So Sarga means the primary creation which is done by the Lord, and Visarga is the secondary creation that is done by Lord Brahma. So this primary creation is most important. Without Lord, making this plan, without the Lord making it happen, Brahma can do any circus. He cannot create no things. The Lord has to first create, and then the Brahma can give some like final touch to it, and then get it into existence. So okay, text 8. Padmakosham tada vishya bhagavat karma choditah ekam vyabhang shid uruda trida bhavyam visaptada. Thus, engaged in service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the world of the lotus, and as it spreads all over the universe, he divided into 3 divisions of worlds, and later on into 14 divisions. Right? So, this is 3 divisions means the upper planetary system, the middle planetary system, and the lower planetary system. So, the middle planetary system consists of Bhu, Bhuvar, and Swarga, and then the upper planetary systems are the rest of the things like Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, and his own planets, Brahma's own planet Satyaloka. And lower are the Atal, Vital, Talatal, Rasatal, Mahatal, Patal, and stuff like Sutal and things like that. So these were first divided into upper, middle, and lower, and then further divided into 14. Okay. So text 9. Etavan jiva lokasya samstaya veda samahritah dharmasya hi animittasya vipakah na parameshtyasau. Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his costless devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 14 planetary divisions for inhabitation by different types of living entities. So here we see that uh, how the Lord is the best. Lord Brahma is the best of the living entities in the world, and why he is the best of the living entities in the world? Because he is going to provide for the residential quarters and everything that is needed for the living entities to live. Okay. Purport. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the qualities of the living entities. The conditioned souls in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called pratibimbas. These pratibimba, living entities, as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, have inherited different proportions of his original qualities, and in terms of their inheritance of these qualities, they appear as different species of life and are accommodated are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. So now what all different qualities we have? It is all pratibimba, or the reflections of the actual qualities that are there in the Supreme Lord. And now we have just got a little bit of, we have got intelligence, no matta smriti jnanam upohanam cha. So the Lord says that intelligence comes from me, the knowledge comes from me. And yadyad vibhuti mat sattvam srimaturjavameva. Right? So he says that wherever you see anything that is having some any vibhuti means any opulences, so that is there in this world, in this creation. So you should understand, mama tejo amsa sambhava. No, it is possible, it is made possible because of my amsha. No, it is because they are all part and parcel of my existence. And that is how these no qualities are actually be able to manifest. So we should not be proud of our qualities. We should why we should be proud of, I'm so intelligent, I'm so capable. So because it is all belonging to the Lord, it is given to us for some time. And we should not be proud of our borrowed plums, right? So we should understand rightly that this is all qualities of Krishna, and little bit it is it is reflecting in me like pratibimba. Brahma is the creator of the three worlds, namely the lower planets called the Patala Lokas, and the middle planets called the Bhur Lokas, and the upper planets called Swar Lokas. Still, higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and Brahmaloka do not dissolve in the devastating water. This is because of the causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants, whose existence continues up to the end of Dviparartha time. Dviparartha means what is that? One one whole day and night of Lord Brahma, I suppose. I will just check. I'm just confused with this terminology now. So, but Dviparartha is either the lifetime of Brahma or the one day of Brahma. So, one day and night of Brahma, something of that sort. Okay. So when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. So generally what happens is these higher planets, in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Swami actually gives, before starting the pastime of Ajamil, he actually gives this one gradual progression to perfection. So he says that the living entities go to higher and higher planets by performing pious activities in the previous existence. And when they go to the Satya Loka, or some means Brahma Loka, or some higher planetary system, so and if they become nice devotees of the Lord there, so when the universal destruction happens, when Brahma goes back to the spiritual world, with him all these inhabitants also will go. So that is why it is mentioned, like when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death, in the material world. So they have, that's a very, very exalted state to go to the higher planetary system. Okay, text 10. Vidura uvacha yatatha bahu rupasya harer adbhuta karmanah kalakyam lakshanam brahman yata varnaya na prabho. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. So, there is nice adjective that is used here. No, Harer Adbhuta Karmanah. No, means the Lord who's performer of very wonderful activities, right? So, Kalakyam means please explain about the this one of the concept of time, which is another feature of the Supreme Lord, who's Adbhuta Karmanah, who's capable of performing very wonderful things. Okay, what are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Purport. So the complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities beginning from the atoms up to the gigantic universe itself, and all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in his form of Kala, or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and a time for the universal dissolution. There is time for annihilation of the body of the human beings, and there is time for annihilation of the universal body. Also, growth, development, and resultant actions all depend on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail the different physical manifestations and their times of annihilation. So this is a very detailed this one of time, and I think there is another chapter after this, which is the next chapter is like calculation of time from the atom. That is the next chapter. So it's going to be a like a whole lot of things which is going to be there on the aspect of time. So, but here in this chapter, a little bit will be covered. Okay. Translation: Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source. Oh, sorry, I didn't read this right. Maitreya vacha guna vyati karo nirvisesho apratishthitah purushastat upadanam atmanam leelaya shrujat. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. So this time is like one of the primary factors where it is facilitating the Lord's pastimes in the material creation. Okay, the impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as the instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is the ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it is time only which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. So generally, if we have a list of items, so we put a serial number, just to identify each and every item of it, right? So that's how we identify the various items in the list, by the serial number. And anytime we have seen that in our school, college, everywhere, wherever we have studied, we had a roll number or we had some kind of an identification, unique identification that is generated. So here we see that. So whenever next time we see that kind of serial number, roll number, and things like that, we should remember the Lord. Here we see, just to keep track of various activities of this world, the Lord has expanded himself in the form of time, and this time keeps track of every item. At what time what activity has been done, and it's like perfect identification, unique identification for every activity and for every person. When he has appeared, when this particular character was born, and what all activities he did, and how did he die, and everything. So everything is kept track uniquely in the form of time, right? So it's an amazing thing. So whenever we see a serial number or any tracking system, we should immediately understand that, oh, this is an expansion of Krishna, right? Okay. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated herein, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners speak in time past unto the fathers and by the prophets. This is something like from the, I think, biblical statement. So metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facility offered by time. So here we see that the calculation of time is the time is the we have to use the word time again. It is like the time taken by an atom to move from point A to point B or something like that. So something of that sort is this one. So the time is calculated based on speed, change, and life of a particular object. So, but in fact, here it is mentioned that time is beyond these things. In fact, time is is the guiding principle or the Time is the thing which is actually making all these changes happen. So time is more than these relative subjects, like speed change in particular object, life of a particular object. It is more higher in its as a principle, right? Okay, so the time is the basic measurement of the activity of our senses by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Chanakya Pandit says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars, and therefore, even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments subjective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord Himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in cosmic manifestation. Bhagavad Gita 9:10 confirms this conclusion as follows: Maya dakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So the time is actually guiding the material uh, transformations. That much we can understand. It's a very complex purport. So more like this may be more appealing to the scientific people, right? So, anyways, we can take the simple conclusion that is the time is the one which is transforming things in this material world. Okay, text 12. Vishwam vai brahma tanmatram samsthitam Vishnu mayaya Ishwarena parichinnam kalena vyakta murtina. This cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. Okay, so very, very technical slokas these are. So let's go forward. Purport, as stated by Narada uh, before Vyasadev in Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetaraha. This manifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. So this we had studied as everything that exists is either the Lord or his energies. And here, no, Srila Prabhupada is citing this Narad Muni's version, what Narada spoke to Vyasadeva in the first canto. So he says, Idam hi Vishwam. So this Vishwam, this world, is Bhagavan Ivetaraha. No, this is not different from the Supreme Lord or the self same as the Supreme Lord. So why? Because this world is also a part and parcel of the Lord or energy of the Lord. It is made possible by the energy of the Lord. And there is nothing else, no, except the Lord. Vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So everything that exists is Vasudev. No, either the Lord personally or his energies. So in that way, like the illusion means to see, oh, this something that exists is beyond the Lord or something different from the Lord. Then it is called Maya or material energy. Right? Okay, it appears so. Now, why this elements that is there, it appearing to be different from the Lord? It appears so because of its separation, because of being separated from the Lord by the means of Kala. So this separation, like what is this separation is all about? Binna Prakriti Ashtada. The Lord says Binna Prakriti. So Binna means separated entities. So that separation is, when we see in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4, so it appears to be a very simple factor there. So now it is explained in more detail. So that's how the Bhagavatam is more deeper explanation of Bhagavad Gita. So here it says, it appears so because it's being separated from the Lord by the means of Kala. So now I see this water bottle in front of me, I see this book in front of me, and so many articles are there. So how is it the Lord? No, how is it Lord's energy and things like that? No, it is, I'm there, I'm having it in my hand. It doesn't seem to have any connection with the Lord. So, no, but then it is Binna Prakriti Rashtada. No, this is an energy of the Lord which is separated by the means of Kala and appears as though it is different from the Lord. But actually, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Everything that exists is directly or indirectly Krishna, right? So that we should understand. Okay, it is something like the tape recorded voice of a person who's now separated from the voice. As a tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate by means of kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits its impersonal feature, so much adored by the impersonalist philosophers. Okay. Text 13. Yetedhanim tatagre cha paschad apyetadidrisham. This cosmic manifestation is as it is now. It was the same in the past and it will continue the same way in the future. Purport. There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:8. Bhuta gramam imam kritsnam avasham prakritir vashat. So there is another thing you say also there, bhutva bhutva praliyate. Again and again, there is creation and destruction that's happening. So this says, as it is created now and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past and again will be created, maintained, and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual and eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation of temporary and occasional, the manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. So, if something goes bad in this material world, should we try to voice against it? Should we try to do some reformations and things like that? Or should we just think that, okay, it's going by the plan, that is maintenance, creation, maintenance, and destruction keeps happening. So now destruction is happening, let it happen. So, no. So, a devotee of the Lord is working under the plan of the Lord. So if the Lord wants the devotee to set right things, the devotee will work hard and set right things, and it's a time to make things set righted. And if the Lord wants the particular schedule is of destruction, and the devotee will go calm. No, he'll say, okay, fine, like no, I don't have to do anything because it's the Lord's will. Right now, according to the Lord's will, things are going to go bad, and let it go. No, he will just leave it. So there is one instance wherein in the Bhagavatam, there is this Maya Dhanava demon. No, he actually creates a three aerial mansions. No, so and these three aerial mansions are made of iron, silver, and gold. And the Lord Shiva is trying to fight against the demons, and then this demons they are hiding in this aerial mansion, and which is sometimes visible, sometimes not visible, and it is like very, very powerful, like aerial mansion, and Lord Shiva is not able to destroy it, and Lord Shiva is somehow or other killing the demons, and these demons again Maya Dhanava has created a pond of nectar, amruta, and then no, he just puts all the demons, dead demons, into the pond, and they come back into life. And Lord Shiva is going on killing them, and then they're coming back to life, and they're just keep on fighting. And Lord Shiva is like, he goes, this one, like, where is it all happening? Like, where is the source of all these things? He's bewildered for some time. And Lord Vishnu, and no, he remembers Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu appears as a cow, and then Lord Brahma appears as a calf, and both of them go to this pond, and they like a pond of nectar in which Maya Dhanava is putting all the demons and then like bringing them back to life. So like these two, cow and calf, they just go and they start drinking. So and then they are emptying the whole pond of nectar. And now Maya Dhanava demon is seeing he's quite capable of doing so many magical feats. So, but like at that point in time, he's able to feel the sense of time, how the time is actually taking turn, and then he's saying that now it is a time which we cannot avoid. So now the time, now the time is not favoring us. So not till now the time was favorable. We were doing so many things and it was working out, and now the time is not favorable. Because of the will of the Supreme Lord, the things are going to act in a different way, right? So the same thing, even Bali Maharaj, now when Vamana Dev appears and then he arrests Bali Maharaj with the ropes of Varuna, And then all the soldiers of Bali Maharaj, they start to attack, this one Vamana, and the Vishnu Dutas, they actually like destroy, scores and scores of demons. So at the time, Bali Maharaj says, "Don't exert yourself. The time is not in favorable to us." And we were, when the time was favorable, we could able to do so many things, and we could able to like win over the this one the demigods. And now the time is not favoring us. Please don't exert yourself. It's not going to work out. So, like a devotee of the Lord, no, he is very careful to observe, what is the trend of the time and what does the Lord wants me to do at this point in time, and accordingly he does. No, he just doesn't do, just like that. Some kranti, or like, something is going bad. No, I am the savior of everything. I have to set right things. He just doesn't go like that. If that is the order of the Lord, and if that is the instruction that is coming down in the parampara, and if that is the right thing to be performed at that right time, so he performs. Otherwise he keeps quiet. So that's how the this one a devotee of the Lord, he responds, not just based on some activities. No, he responds based on the need of the hour, what has been expected out of him to be done. Okay, so therefore the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual and eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. Text 14. Sargo nava vidastasya prakruto vaikritastu yaha kala dravya gunair asya trivida prati sankramaha. There are 9 different kinds of creations besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements, and the quality of one's work. So there are more divisions of this one is there, like creation and destruction. Let's see the purport. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to interactions of the material elements, which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later, these will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The 3 kinds of annihilations are due to the scheduled time of annihilation of the entire universe, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta, and due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. Okay, let's wait for the detailed explanation. Text 15. Adyastu mahatasargo guna vaishamyam atmanah dvitiyasva ahamo yatra dravya jnana kriyodayah. Of the 9 creations, the first one is the creation of the Mahatattva, or the sum total of material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. Purport. The first emanation from the Supreme Lord for material creation is called Mahatattva. The interaction of material modes is caused due to identification, or the sense that a living being is made of material elements. This false ego is the cause of identifying the body and mind with the soul proper. Material resources and the capacity and knowledge to work are all generated in the second term of creation um, after Mahatattva. Jnana indicates the senses which are source of knowledge and their controlling deities. Work entails the working organs and their controlling deities. All these are generated in the second creation. So first is Mahatattva is there, and due to the presence of the Lord, the 3 modes of nature starts interacting. The 3 modes of nature and material, this ones are all matter, and by the presence of the Lord, actually they interact. And the first thing that gets produced is the false ego. The false ego, that is the identification of the soul with the matter, that is produced. And from there, all these, material knowledge, the material activities, and material ingredients, all of these things are coming out. And material knowledge means, the knowledge acquiring senses and the controlling deities of those knowledge acquiring senses. And material activities means the working senses and the controlling deities of the working senses. These are all things are created. Text 16. Bhuta sangras tritiyastu tanmatra Tanmatro Dravya Shaktiman Chaturtha Aindriyas Sargo Yastu Jnana Kriyatmakaha. The first creation is the Mahatattva, and there the material modes of nature started interacting, and second creation is the false ego. And now we are going to talk about the third creation. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated. The fourth creation is the creation of knowledge and working capacity. Text 17. Vaikariko deva sargaha panchamo yanmayam manaha shashtastu tamasa sargo yastva abuddhi krita prabhoho. The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the interaction of the mode of goodness, of which the mind is the sum total. The sixth creation is the ignorant darkness of the living entities, by which the master acts as a fool. Purport. The demigods in the higher planets are called Devas because they are all devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Bhaktaha Smrito Dhaiva Asurats Tad Viparyayaha. All the devotees of Lord Vishnu are Devas or demigods, whereas others are Asuras. That is the division of the Devas and the Asuras. Devas are situated in the mode of goodness of material nature, whereas the Asuras are situated in the mode of passion or ignorance. The demigods or controlling deities are interested with departmental management of all different functions of the material world. For example, one of our senses, one of our sense organ, the eye, is controlled by light. Light is distributed by the sun rays, and their controlling deity is the sun. Right? So the controlling deity of the eye is the sun. Similarly, mind is controlled by moon. All other senses, both for working and for acquiring knowledge, are controlled by different demigods. The demigods are assistants of the Lord in management of material affairs. After the creation of the demigods, all entities are covered by darkness of ignorance. Each and every living being in the material world is conditioned by his mentality of lording it over the resources of material nature. Although a living entity is the master of the material world, he is conditioned by ignorance, by the false impression of being the proprietor of material things. The energy of the Lord, called avidya, is the bewildering factor of conditioned souls. The material nature is called avidya or ignorance, but to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya or pure knowledge. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in her real feature. The material nature therefore appears to function in three phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge. As disclosed in the previous verse, in the fourth creation, the power of knowledge is also created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of avidya function of material nature, they are made fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. So, when we study this concept of sin, what is the root of sin? The root of sin is avidya or ignorance. No, and here it's mentioned the living entities are Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So they are not originally fools. Like they have Chit, they have knowledge, and they are eternal. So like the disease of avidya actually catches them. So why this disease of avidya catches them? So we have discussed it many times that when we want to lord over the material nature, or when we want to be separate from the Lord and enjoy separate from the Lord, and that cannot be done in the vidya. And because of this desire, the avidya, the disease of avidya, actually, we get inflicted with the disease of avidya. And when we get inflicted with the disease of avidya, then we start committing sin and we start living in the material world and karma and all those. No, they're all history. No, they just come. The root is avidya. So once this avidya is replaced by vidya, once this the spiritual knowledge is awakened, then all the sin, all the karma, everything can be destroyed in one shot. That's the power of the spiritual knowledge. So knowledge destroys the ignorance, knowledge destroys the sin, and knowledge destroys various different karmic activities and things like that. So that's how this proper knowledge is very important. Okay. So by the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets its relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment, hatred, pride, ignorance, and false identification, the five kinds of illusion that cause material bondage. Okay, let's see. Okay, next look is small only. Shadime prakrita sarga vaikrithan apime shrinu rajo bajo bhagavato li le lileyam harimedasaha. All the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations by Brahma, who is the incarnation of the mode of passion and who is the matter of, who is the master of creation, has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. Hmm. Saptamo mukhya sargastu shadvidas tastusham chayah vanaspatyoshadi lata tvakshar tvakshara vidurodrumah. The seventh creation is that of the immovable entities, which are of six kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, the trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, and then pipe plants, creepers which have no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. Okay, these are all different kinds of immovable stavara that has been created. Hmm. Okay, 620. उत्स्रोतसस्तमः प्राप्य antasparsha visheshinah. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. They are almost unconscious but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. Okay, so we will see from 21 tomorrow. Okay, so thank you all very much for joining for this Bhagavatam reading. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.